Oceanfront property right here in southern Idaho. That's either A, the former allure of the Greater Idaho movement, B, a loose take on a George Strait classic, C, a one-time true statement, or D, all of the above. Well, the answer is D, all of the above. About 100 million years ago, Idaho was actually on the western edge of the North American continent. And that wasn't the last time the Treasure Valley was buried beneath a lot of water. Okay, so why are we bringing this up now? Well, it was all stuff we learned when we were researching an answer to a question sent in by Mike from Caldwell, who several weeks ago asked, is Bogus Basin an old volcanic caldera? Okay, so a caldera is kind of like it sounds. It's a cauldron or bowl-like crater formed after an eruption of a volcano. The magma blows out. It leaves kind of a hollow section of earth where that magma and the topsoil on top of it, where it used to be. What's left, well, that all collapses down and fills that space and kind of creates that crater. To answer that question, we looked up a geology presentation from the Bureau of Land Management about the Holes Gulch area, and we also asked Erika Rader of the University of Idaho. So, does volcanic caldera describe Bogus Basin?
Yeah, the answer is no, it is not. But that is a common thing in ski areas in some parts of, say, Colorado, which a lot of those are big calderas.
Okay, seems like a solid no. As solid as, say, granite, which is pretty prevalent around Bogus Basin, which leads to a kind of lava-layered answer to Mike's question.
So while Bogus Basin is not an old volcanic caldera, it is the root of an old volcano at some point in time.
What point in time? What connects Bogus to volcanoes? All right, let's go back a bit. About 64 to 100 million years ago, the late Cretaceous period. Oh yeah, there were still dinosaurs back then, but let's not focus on that. Let's talk about tectonic plates, because the continents were also still forming at that time. The Pacific plate was subducting beneath what would become the North American continent, meaning it was sliding underneath. And as it did that, magma was being pushed up next to it, causing the Earth to rise around it. That magma would cool as it collected near the surface, creating a batholith, the Idaho batholith, forming mountains of igneous rock or granite.
The amount of volcanic rock in the Northwest is huge.
You can still see a lot of it around the Snake River Plain because beginning about 12 million years ago, that area was being pulled apart by shifting plates like taffy, leading to a thin crust of Earth, which allowed the development of several volcanic fields from Yellowstone to the Owahis. And all that activity caused the Earth's crust to collapse there. A rift, which meant water would eventually collect there. And within about 3 million years, Lake Idaho was created. More than 200 miles long and 35 miles wide, it once covered everything below what is now 3,800 feet in elevation. Basically, you had to be a third of the way up Bogus Basin Road to be dry. Which means at one point, after the formation of Bogus Basin, Boise was actually beachfront property.
You know, that's true about a lot of places. A lot of places were beachfront property at some point in history, and might be in the future too.
And might be in the future too. Professor Rader referring to climate change, obviously, the warming global temperatures, melting of the glaciers, you know. I hope that answered your question, Mike. So how about this? You want to raise your anxiety level even more? We could see some more volcanic activity, a small kind of lava flow eruption in the Snake River Plain, about that area, the eastern Snake River Plain, otherwise known as Yellowstone supervolcano. We could see that sometime in our near future. Near future is relative, obviously. That's the sleeping giant. But Professor Rader says it's not going to just happen overnight. It's not going to just erupt. We'll kind of see it coming. There will be earthquakes aplenty, she says. The ground's going to deform, which is pretty exciting stuff for the state of Idaho, as you can imagine. But no need to lose any sleep over this sleeping giant, she says. That likely won't happen for about 10,000 years. But maybe you can count that earthquake from about 2 years ago as number one on the list, I guess. I don't know.